come into this place physically or virtually, join us. Bring all of you. Bring your heart and your longings. Bring your pain and your hopes. Bring your bodies and your spirit. Bring all of you. Come, let us worship together. Please join me in saying the words of All Souls Covenant if you know it. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Welcome. And you all sound great. That song comes from a poem by the 13th century Sufi poet Jalaluddin Rumi. And Rumi, the original poem, they left out a line of the poem from this hymn in our hymnal. And I've always been sort of disappointed in the hymnal writers that they left out what I consider a very profound part of the poem, which is, come, whoever you are, welcome, we are no caravan of despair, come, yet again, come, right? And there's this line that was left out of the hymnal that says, though you have broken your vows 1,000 times, come, yet again, come. Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times. This idea that no matter what we've done, no matter what you've done, no matter what mistakes you've made, how you've betrayed yourself or maybe others, still don't give up on yourself, don't give up on life. Come yet again, come. There's always a chance to do better, to do more, to feel step back into your wholeness, step back into your fullness. And our theme is salvation this month, which is such a complicated theme for so many people. It means different things to different people, and we're not one of those churches that sort of has this really prescribed meaning. But part of it is like, what is it that saves us? What is it that when we're really down and out or really hurting or feel really broken on the inside, what is it that saves us in those moments? So I want to share this reading from Ram Dass. You may know of Ram Dass, spiritual teacher from the 60s, and somebody who I've read a number of his things and followed in different ways. He tells this story. I have a friend who's a chemotherapy nurse in a children's cancer ward, whose job it is to pry for any available vein in an often emaciated arm to give infusions of chemicals that sometimes last as long as 12 hours and which are often quite discomforting for the children. He is probably the greatest pain giver that the children meet during their stay in the hospital, because he's worked so much with his own pain. Ram Dass says his heart is very open. He works with his responsibilities in the hospital almost as a laying on of hands with love and acceptance. There is little in him that causes him to withdraw, that reinforces the painfulness of the experience for the children. He's saying that he doesn't withdraw, that he's been through his own pain, the fact that he doesn't withdraw reinforces the experience of the children. He is warm. He's like an open space which encourages these young children who are going through this frightening experience to trust what they're feeling and to trust him. And it is he whom the children most ask for at the time that they are dying. Although he is the main pain giver, he's also the main love giver. And I find this story so moving. And it reminds me, as I was saying earlier, about even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times, come, yet again, come. Don't give up on yourself, on your life, on your goodness. And this idea that, the pain that we've been through, the struggles that we've been through, like this nurse, this chemotherapy nurse, he'd been through so much himself that he was able to be there for these children in such a profound way. The things that we go through, the pain, the struggles, the mistakes, all of it, every bit of our lives, is something that we have as a resource to give back to others. And in some ways, that redeems the pain. So I think of times that I've been through just excruciating experience of pain, loss, death of a child, which I've been through, that it's so, the pain is so awful, and it's so hard. And yet, when I'm able to be there for someone else who's going through something like that, to connect with somebody, to be there to help them with their grief, whether it's of a child or any grief, it redeems, in essence, like that pain I went through, that I still go through sometimes. It has a value. And by being able to share it with someone else and make their path a little bit easier, right, Rick? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I hear you loud and clear.
That you're able to give back to someone else. It's almost like I didn't just suffer all that in pain. I didn't just make that mistake and screw up a bunch of stuff or whatever it is, and then just that's it. That's the end of the story. The story's not over. The story continues because I take that and I use that, I apply that. We do. To try to help someone else, lighten someone else's load in a scary time, in a difficult time. So I just want to say, whether you've broken your vows, whether you've been to hell and back. I think there was a lady in church a long time ago. Actually, I heard this story from another preacher, but I've experienced it in different ways many times myself. The preacher asked this woman who was going through, I think it was alcoholism, and she was struggling and trying to figure out what to do. And he said, well, is there someone in the church? She said, you couldn't understand me. That's what she was telling her preacher. And so he said, well, is there someone else in the church that you think you could talk to? And she said, Harry. And he's like, Harry? Why Harry? Because Harry's this sort of cranky older guy who people didn't really like that much or whatever. And she said to him, he's like, why Harry? Of all people. She said, because Harry's been to hell and back, and he knows what it's like. And so he's the one who I feel like I could talk to, and I feel like I could trust. So whether you've been to hell or back or whatever you've been through, know that it's a resource now for you, or as you get through it, to give back to the world, to help someone else, to lighten someone else's load. Not one thing that you've been through or that you've done is wasted if we choose to use it. So use it, live your life, and whether you've broken your vows 1,000 times, you're always welcome here. We believe in you. I believe in you. And I know that every day we have a chance to do it again and do it differently and do it better. And that gives me a lot of hope. You give me a lot of hope. We're gonna take a little offering. It's going to the Youth Scholarship Fund. If you were here for Youth Sunday last Sunday, you heard our youth just give from their hearts to this congregation, which is given to them from the time they were young, many of them. So if you have a little something with you that you could donate, we're going to pass around the baskets here during this next song, and if you could play something in there, we're going to give that back to some of our youth who are setting off to the next stage of their lives in a few months. And please be generous as you can. All right, I'm going to need your help with this prayer. I would like to ask if each of you would just add a word, and we're going to try to see what kind of prayer we can come up with, and then I'll close it out for us. I'll get us started, and then I'm going to pass it to you, Stephanie. So just a word. You just have to come up with a word. following on the next person. So the burden's really on the next person more than it's on you, right? And then, and then it'll go back to you, Corey, and then if any of you guys want to chime in back there on the sound system, but we'll just pass it around, and we'll come back around, and then you're going to pass it back to me with whatever you say, okay? So, beloved.
Forgiveness.
We dwell.
Holy.
Repair.
Enlightenment. Our hearts.
Hope.
Joy.
Forgiveness.
Serenity.
Comfort.
Learning.
These are our prayers. May they be lifted up. May they be fulfilled. May the people around us gather hope and strength from these words and from our collective voices as we meld our moment together in these words woven in space and time, never to be repeated again. This is us. This is what we ask for. Amen. We didn't get your word. You were behind me, and I forgot to ask. Rick, what's your word?
Remember.
Remember. So as you go forth into this second half of your week, whether you're here right now, present through technology, go out into this world. Remember what you felt while you were here. Remember what you hoped for while you were here. Remember what was healed in you while you were here. And take it out there and give it back to this world that needs you and needs what you have to offer so desperately in these times. Go and be blessed and be a blessing.
so you can come, yet again come.